Rachel, let's help.
Hello.
Hello. Let's help everybody out there find what lights them up. So, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
I'm so excited to talk about all things relationships and what helps us find our true selves. And I know we connected, you were looking to connect with very independent, successful women that were successful in their careers, but had sort of trouble in relationships and dating. And you were collecting research on your course, which is now out, the BU Blueprint, right?
Yes, it is. It's out there.
And when we connected, I answered right away and I'm like, yes,
That's
say
me.
yes to all of that's me. That's me. And I'm sure when we connected, you're like, okay, this is a perfect case study.
Yeah,
And right. And you're now a relationship and self-worth coach. So
yeah,
you work with women like me. What
I do.
inspired what what inspired this journey?
So I am a women's relationship breakup self-worth coach. It's kind of come a bit full circle, but I basically support women to thrive after a relationship breakdown and find new love. Or find, oftentimes it's not about finding new love for them, it's about finding themselves again after, having their hearts broken. And again, oftentimes they don't know why they can't find new love or why they're struggling. Everything, like you say, very successful women in every areas of their life, but that's the one thing that's missing for them. But I was inspired because of my own story. So um, are you happy for me to dive in and tell you my own story? Because like this might take some
Please,
time.
please.
Okay.
It's so good. And everyone needs to hear your story. Tell
So
us.
I was in a relationship for 9 years. I have a daughter who is now 10. Um, I split up with her father when she was 4. So back in 2018, we were due to get married. We had the wedding booked, everything was planned. I was living a wonderful life. We had a business together, house together, daughter together, about to get married. We were traveling the world because we had this business where we had the freedom to go traveling, and we just had this wonderful life. And then suddenly it all just ended. He just didn't actually disappear off the face of the earth, but he felt like he disappeared off the face of the earth. And he cancelled the wedding. He didn't really give me any explanation other than he was confused and wasn't sure about getting married anymore. And we've been together 9 years. Like everything, my entire life, my entire identity was wrapped up in that relationship. My work, my home, my daughter, my lifestyle was all wrapped up financially. I was wrapped up in that relationship, and it just ended overnight. So I was obviously devastated. I didn't know what was going on. I was confused. I was hurt, heartbroken, all of the things. And then 18 months later, I actually discovered that he'd been having an affair the whole time. And not for the whole of our relationship, but very much for about a year before the wedding was planned. And so it had been going on for quite some time. And he had another house, he had another relationship, he had, I don't know how I noticed he was missing. He wasn't missing. But I was talking to a client the other day, and we were saying, like, you're so wrapped up in it, and you're such a trusting person. You're in this relationship with this person, and you're so trusting that you don't ask questions about where they are or what they're doing, because we're our own people. I had, my own hobbies, my own things going on in my life too. So what he was actually doing was having an affair, and I knew nothing about it. So yeah, it's a shocker. And
Do you
I
think
then went, go on, sorry.
do you think some of it is, we don't want to know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think so many people said to me when we split up, surely there's another woman. Surely. Like, because people don't just up and go and cancel all of this. People don't just leave. There must be someone else. And I was like, don't be ridiculous. There's not, no. Honestly, I thought he was having some kind of midlife crisis, mental breakdown. I didn't think it was anything to do with me. I really was very supportive and helped him find a therapist. I did all sorts of crazy things at the time, and I really didn't want to see what was quite obvious that was going on. And if now I can see things and I can read situations really well. And now that I can trust myself, my instincts, and everything else, I could see it now. And I'm like, when you come out of the other side of that, and you're just like, what a fool! I was such a fool. That's how I felt at the time. Anyway, I was such a fool to fall for all of the lies and the misleading information that I was given. So yeah, it was quite a time. But that is what inspired me to become a coach, because then I had therapy. I had talking therapy for about 6 months, and then I met a coach. I joined a course which was for like female empowerment and leadership, and kind of like I said, improved my confidence after all of that had happened. And I met a coach in an online, when you get put into groups and you'll break out into different breakout areas. And she lived around the corner from me. And I was like, I recognise your accent. You're from around by me somewhere. And she was around the corner from me. And I started working with her intensively for 6 months. And that is what changed my life. The coaching, the um, the different techniques she used with me, the different kind of like mindset shifts, working with my subconscious, working with my beliefs, and that is what changed my life, and that is why I then went on to qualify and train as a coach as well.
So, what kind of coach was she that sort of gave you the idea?
I don't know, like she was just so I did this course. Like when people talk about their niche and what kind of coach they are, she was just a life coach. And she was she was one of the coaches for the course that I was doing. So she was one of the people that supported you through the course, which was all about women's empowerment, all about like women's different archetypes and like feminine energy and all things I hadn't ever really heard about before. I hadn't really done any work with anything like that before. So we just got chatting, and she was like, oh, I know I can support you to overcome your like fears, your limiting beliefs. I know I can help you like overcome this heartbreak that you're going through at the moment, because I was in such a disempowering archetype. I was constantly either a bitch, a martyr, a victim. I blamed everybody else for everything else that was going on. I blamed him for what he had done to me. It was definitely his fault. But actually she brought me around to the realization that um I had my own part to play in that. Maybe the relationship wasn't going the way it should, and that's what made him seek comfort elsewhere and meet somebody else. And it made me see that I wasn't perfect, and it wasn't me, it wasn't all him. There was my part to play in that too, and obviously the part to play in the fact that we had a business together, and that was probably a little bit too close. We had a child together, and things aren't easy when you've got a small child in a relationship. And there was lots and lots of different things that she made me see my part in, which then I had to work out, well, actually I've got to forgive myself for this situation. I've got to work on myself for this situation, and work on forgiveness for him as well. So we could all just move on and live our lives happily after all of that.
Wow. So, you talked a lot about trust, and we all can relate to that heartbreak. And when you go through a relationship like that, any situation like that, you feel like you can't get through it, right?
No, yeah,
How do you trust love again, relationships again, dating again, yourself again? How can we overcome all of that, sort of like the work that you did, and learn to
yeah.
trust again?
Wow. If I go back to before I met my ex-partner, I can really see that I was not a very outwardly, I'm very confident. Outwardly, I'm like, oh, yeah, I could I could present. I was, a very confident person outwardly, but on the inside, I was lacking in self-worth, lacking in my own confidence. I didn't trust any of my own decisions. And this guy came along, and it seemingly was a perfect match for me. And he saved me from myself, or so I thought. And then if you go through the whole relationship, I probably morphed into the person he wanted me to be, not who I was, not who I truly am. who I truly am now at the age of 42 when I've worked it all out. But, I was in my late 20s at that point, and he just, this lifestyle came along, and I just took it and was like, well, yeah, this is all right. I'll take this. But it wasn't truly who I was. So before I met him, I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust my own instincts. I didn't trust. And then if you look back at certain things, I can see now that had a gut feeling about certain things, but I ignored that gut feeling. I ignored my own instincts, and I just went along with whatever was happening. So going through the coaching process taught me to trust myself, to value myself, what my values were for a start. Like, I didn't even look at kind of what my personal values were before any of this. What do I value in my life? What's important to me to work on? And then learn to trust that that is the right thing for me before ever thinking about anybody else, however selfish that sounds. But looking after me was the number one priority, even like before my daughter, before friends, family, everybody else. Because if I didn't look after me and trust in me and my decisions, then nothing nothing would ever get done. Or I'd just end up in the same situation again, morphing into what somebody else wanted me to be and not being the person who I truly authentically am. So it is all about you being you and having trust in you and your instincts.
Okay, that is perfect. And also, I want to dig a little bit deeper into that. So, you didn't know your values before, you learned them through this coach. But instead of, and maybe one of your values was to become a coach, but sort of to link the two and really get down deep, because you decided to take an experience that you went through and you said, I really want to help others through this. Like, what gave you didn't just say, okay, I'm going to say I like my values and I'm going to follow my intuition and I'm going to be my authentic self, but I'm going to go do and work a career in something unrelated. You chose to dedicate your life and your career to now help other women going through that. What pushed you?
Mm, Wow, I don't know, other than I saw an advertisement for a life coaching certification, which just spoke to me. And I was like, yes, this is what I'm meant to do. Like, I know I can help women. I know I've experienced this for a reason, but it wasn't just, it's been quite a process. I didn't actually go into it to support women in relationships. I thought at the time, do you know what? I'm in this business that I've set up with my partner, and I want to just get out of that, and I need to do something different. So in my head, I'm going to be a business coach. And then actually, when I got into it, I was like, oh no, I don't want to touch business with a barge pole. And as I went through the coaching program and like qualified as a coach and did all the different things, it actually made me think, well, I could support women who have experienced similar situations to me. And then I went through a whole like wild dating world, and I was like, I wish somebody would have supported me through the dating world. So maybe I'll help people like with their dating first of all, which I did, and it was fantastic. And I've had like a client get engaged recently, which was fantastic. She was single for a very long time, and then suddenly she met somebody last year, and they're engaged a year later. So it's really wonderful to do that. But a lot of the work I have done with those clients actually isn't all about dating. It's more about them learning about themselves and then healing from past heartbreaks, them healing from their relationship wounds and how they've learned to love, their attachment styles, their love languages, and getting to know themselves really well. So it's been a process of me learning how I can support people more than it is me going, oh, actually, I can do this.
Well, you felt a
So,
calling. It sounds like you felt a
yeah,
calling.
I did. I really did. And like to go out there and just be like, oh, I want to help you find love. That was kind of like my thing. I want everyone to have a happy, healthy relationship. So I'm going to help women find love. And that's kind of how it went. And then as I've worked with more and more women, it's transpired into actually it's more about you healing your wounds so you can have a healthy relationship. You can move forward with your life. You can thrive. And a lot of women that I work with actually say that they don't want another relationship. They want to learn to love themselves. They want to learn to be okay on their own. And it's so hard, isn't it? Because none of us really have ever been on our own fully. I come from quite a big family. My parents are Irish, so there's four of us. Um, I've never lived alone before. When I left home, I moved in with my first boyfriend, and then I moved into a flat share, and then I moved into another flat share. And so I've always been surrounded by people. The first time I ever lived alone, and I don't think it counts as alone because I had a daughter, but was when my partner left me. I've never been an adult living alone before, and I don't think many of us do. So we don't learn to look after ourselves first, do we? We just wobble along, expecting somebody
Wow.
else to look after us. So yeah, it's all about learning to be okay on your own first and loving yourself more than anything else.
Yeah, and on a recent trip, I just took a trip for solo for the first time. And I vowed to myself 2 years ago that I would go somewhere new every year for my birthday, because
Ah,
how else would I see the world? Right. And I think travel helps expand our mind. It helps us grow and learn. And I realized on that trip that, when we're in a relationship or a relationship doesn't work out the way we want it to, we think something's wrong with us. We think we did something wrong or something's wrong with us. Why did they reject us? And I realized that as I travel and alone, right, going back to being alone and having that space to really think and reflect, I realized that I am learning to become the qualities that I admire in others instead of
mm,
turning it into, well, why didn't they choose me? Or I need to become this to be in this relationship. If I admire something about someone, I think it is my responsibility to become that, because maybe it's something about them that I am attracted to that really I'm lacking maybe in myself. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
absolutely right. So when you manifest love, people always say, like, "I'll go and write a list of qualities that you want in a relationship," and then that person will just appear because you know that's what you'll be focused on. But it's not about wanting those qualities in another person. It's about actually you creating those qualities in yourself. So something I was always like really attracted to, kind of like, when I was dating anyway, like I was sort of be like a kind of workman type carpenter with a there's a really hot guy, like American dancing guy actually, who I follow on Instagram, and like I was like, he's hot. I like him. Or like Jack from Virgin River. Do you watch Virgin River on Netflix? I don't know,
Yes.
but yeah, Jack from Virgin River was like, yeah, I like him a lot. 'Cause he's very attractive, outdoorsy type. Um, but it's not just
Fixing
about
everything.
fixing everything.
Right, right. Totally.
But I found actually it's more to do with me wanting to have that kind of lifestyle myself. Like, I was with somebody previously who didn't like going to the beach, didn't like being outdoors, didn't like the elements. And actually, I love being outdoors. I love the countryside. I love the beach. I love the sea. And it was about me developing me into that person who I truly, authentically am. And recognizing that that's who I am, not kind of like the person who likes, we've been on holiday to Dubai in the past, for example, and Dubai is obviously a man-made beach, isn't it?
Right, right,
It's not real.
right,
I like
right.
real things. So actually, for me, it was about attracting somebody who was like-minded, like that, and building that strength and those qualities in myself to attract like for like. I wanted to be outdoorsy. I took a trip to Cornwall on my own and stayed like on the beach on my own for a week, and took paddleboarding lessons, and like went and did kind of crazy things like that on my own. I went coast-steering. Have you ever been coast-steering and jumping off cliffs?
No.
So like I don't know why I didn't like doing it. I'm afraid of heights. So it's like my worst nightmare. But you like scramble rocks in the sea, and you go into caves and see the wildlife and things like that. But it was fantastic and really, really great for me to like build my strength and confidence in myself, and to be able to say, yeah, I've done these things on my own. I didn't need anyone to hold my hand. I've been out there and climbed the rocks and done the hill walking and discovered what I like, what things that I enjoy, the things that bring me like pure joy and thrills. I've been and done those things on my own, like you say, going travelling, or it opens your mind. But it's about you building that confidence in you and what you love to do. And what's the point in like living a life of misery? And many people out there will love going to Dubai. It was not my favourite place on earth. It was all very fake.
I've never been. I've
I
never
didn't
been.
like it. No, it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful place, but it wasn't for me. I was like, this isn't. I would genuinely rather go, like I've been to last week, Wales for a week, and we went out on like boat trips and saw dolphins and got into nature. And like again, I own my own paddleboard now, so I'm paddleboarding out on the sea, and like all of those things are who I am. Not and I've met a partner who bought me the paddleboard because he wants to go paddleboarding too, type thing. So that's it was more about me being the person who I really truly am and doing the things that I really truly love to do to attract a partner that love to do the same things.
Yeah,
Now
and
we do crazy things.
literally climbing to heights to get to ourselves, right? It's
Yeah.
and and I don't know, I actually didn't work with a coach to discover that. I don't know what inspired me. I swear, and I keep saying that this podcast really led me on a path to meeting people, to sitting down, having conversations with people to really help open my mind, expand me, inspire me, and really create what I call a soul family where
Mm.
people have really inspired me and really helped me on my path, I believe, to walking back to myself. And I do believe in soulmates. I know everyone has different views on this. I think a soulmate can be platonic or romantic. I believe that I think we're lucky enough to maybe meet one or two in our life or really recognize it, but I think we have to be open to it. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what role soulmates can play in helping us find what lights us up.
Ooh. So I think it's about again that person being a support for you to be you, whatever that is. Because, like I said earlier, my previous partner kind of, I morphed into what he thought I should be as a partner, as a person, I've always worked in sales. So then he created a sales role for me and made me into a salesperson. And just is not me at all. I'm good with people, but no, that is not me at all. But my current partner is so supportive of me coaching. He loves to get involved in, like he he has a bit of an interest in himself. He works in like human resources, so he's a very much a people supporter person too, and he wants to be involved in how can you support people better? How can we make this better for people? How can we make this easier for people? So meeting somebody who's on the same kind of wavelength and who really truly wants to support you and inspires you to be a better person, to be better at what you want to do is, yeah, I think that's kind of like where the soulmate support comes into it. I can genuinely say my current partner is probably overly supportive. He's very helpful. He's always finding things for me to like do. And he's always there when like if things are not going right for me in my business, if things are going great for me. Either way, he's always there to kind of like support. So if you can find somebody who wants to help you be your true authentic self and not guiding you down a path of what they think you should be, because we are all influenced, aren't we, by everything that's going on around us. We're influenced by social media, we're influenced by our friends, what society thinks we should be, where society thinks we should be at, like, at our age. We should be married, we should have children, we should have a house, we should have settled down, we should have a proper career. Could you imagine, like, I've left a very successful business to become a life coach and start my own business. So I've fallen from great heights financially. um, but my partner's totally supportive of it. He's like, this is what you're meant to do. You're not meant to be in a sales role, in recruitment. You're meant to be in this, supporting people. And whether that means you're financially well off or not, this is what I'm meant to do. So I think, yeah, having a person to support you in that.
And what work, because there's a lot of people out there, you mentioned it too. You were in a previous relationship. You didn't know your values. A lot of people are walking around, they don't know what they want, who they truly are. You had this awakening, you had this experience that pushed you to discover your values. But for a lot of people, it's one thing to be open, to be inspired, right, by someone who crosses our path that may or may not be a soulmate, right, that we may or may not define as a soulmate. But how do we, if we're walking around feeling lost, but we know we want to change, we know something's not right, we might be in the wrong relationship, we might be in the wrong job, we don't know where to go or what to do. How does someone find their way if they're feeling lost?
So I mean, and I've had this conversation so many times this week. I've had quite a few new clients come through this week, and one of the questions is always like, what would be your dream outcome from working with me? And everyone's like, I don't know. I don't know what I want. I just don't know. You're like, oh no, this is where we have to get to. We have to know what we want, otherwise we're never going to get anything, are we? But I think sitting still, because we keep our lives so busy to distract ourselves from the hurt that we're feeling, the pain from our last relationship. Maybe we then jump into a new relationship to distract ourselves from the heartbreak of the last one, or we keep ourselves busy in our careers because we want to distract ourselves from what's going on inside. And I think if you've actually just sat still with yourself for and made time on a daily basis to say meditate, or I find meditating really hard. So I've got a dog, so I walk my dog every day, and I get out in nature and I go to the fields. And I know that those are the times when I have got space in my head to think, to truly think about who I am. I'm on my own, spending time with myself. So if you've got a bit of time where you can just sit and be with yourself, your body will guide you as to where you are meant to be, because you'll feel it somewhere in your body. You'll be feeling anxious about something, and it comes through your stomach, doesn't it? Apparently that's where a lot of your hormones are. That's where you get butterflies. I was talking to a psychologist recently. That's where a lot of your hormones are produced, and that's where you get the butterflies in your stomach, because you'll feel it somewhere. You'll feel the stress in your body somewhere, but we don't give ourselves time to sit and work out what that is. We constantly just jump from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, and keep ourselves so busy that our mind and our body don't have time to catch up with each other. So I think sitting still and just reconnecting with where you're feeling, whatever it is you're feeling, and working out what that feeling is the best way to just reconnect with yourself.
And that's key, right? I mean, for a long time, I was so disconnected from my feelings. I couldn't even connect to my feelings. And I know you have that course, the BU Blueprint,
Yeah. And
right? And that helps.
it's just all about you learning who you are again. And there's 6 modules in there that literally take you through how you can work out what you want from your life, get clarity on what you think your future looks like. And even if that's, you somewhere deep inside, you will have a goal for yourself. Like when you were a little girl, you would have been like, oh, I want to grow up and be Taylor Swift. Say, I've got a 10-year-old. She wants to be Taylor Swift currently. Who doesn't want to be Taylor Swift? But you somewhere inside of you have got something that makes you think, I would love to do that, but I can't. And it's that, but I can't, that you need to overcome, because you can, because anything is possible. So my course takes you through how you're going to get clear on what you want, how you're going to work out what that but I can't is, because it's buried deeply in your subconscious, in the way that you've learnt to love, in the way that you've learnt your worth. So digging that belief out of what is stopping you, but I can't, because digging that out from your subconscious is really key to working out what it is, and then using different techniques to change that belief. Like, a lot of these things are in our subconscious, and we literally live by our subconscious. Our subconscious is what guides us on a daily basis. We wouldn't get home or eat dinner or do anything unless our subconscious was guiding us. So our subconscious is guiding us on every single decision we make. So if your subconscious is telling you you are not good enough for this, because that one time when you were little and that thing happened to you, you weren't good enough then, so you're still not good enough now. Like, you've got to get to what that is and then change it. And there's different techniques in my course that we use to kind of like change your memories, to change your energy and things like that, so we can then overcome that belief and make it into a more empowering belief that you can do whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to find that new loving relationship, you've got to overcome the belief that you're not worthy of it. And then there's lots of things in there. And the next few modules are very action packed, kind of like what you can do next to make sure this belief stays. This is the belief that you are going to now ingrain in your subconscious, and then the actions that you take to get to where you want to be and get maybe that relationship. Maybe it's a new job, a new role, start your own business, whatever that means to you about what that thing is. But in all of us, there is that I'm not good enough for whatever it is that we want, in all of us, because we're all very bad at championing ourselves, aren't we?
Right.
Subconscious
And I
has a
think
lot to answer for.
exactly. And I think enjoying the journey is a part of it too, like finding more joy, enjoying how we get, enjoying the path or the journey. It's not just about the destination, right? How have,
No,
right,
because your destination might end up being completely different to what you thought it was going to be.
right, exactly. How can we have more fun in dating, relationships, or just really a path of finding more of what lights us up?
Wow. Again, I think it is all about you learning to trust your instincts, your gut feelings. Where are those feelings and what are they? Because we don't give ourselves time to process our feelings. We don't give ourselves time to listen to our bodies. Um, there's a book called The Body Keeps Score, and it's all about, like, our bodies know. Our body, if you have that feeling and it gives you joy, do more of it. If it's a feeling of I'm not so sure, maybe you need to try it again to see if you are sure. And if it's a feeling of absolutely not, don't do it again. But doing more of what brings you joy and finding what it is that brings you joy. And you'll only do that by spending time with yourself on your own and not being influenced by other people. So if it is about finding joy in dating, maybe take yourself on a couple of dates first and be like, okay, there's a restaurant I really want to go to and I'd love to eat dinner there, but like eating dinner with a stranger or do it on your own first. It's a thing I make my clients do. I make my clients take themselves out for a date first, because you're like, how will you ever know if you like yourself unless you can sit on your own, have a glass of wine, have a coffee, and just have a look around? Because we're all very self-conscious, aren't we, about being alone or what people will think of us. So
Right.
being alone and finding joy in being alone, I think, is fantastic. And like you are going traveling alone. What's what's not to love? I want to be you. Having a family, like, it's quite hard to kind of find the
Right.
time to be alone, but it's really very important to like get that alone time and do something that brings you pure joy on your own, even if you stood laughing at yourself for absolutely no reason. I think that's the best. Like,
And you just want
how
to do
to,
more of it. When you
yeah.
recognize, when you actually connect to that feeling that you talked about, you connect to it, you want more of it.
I saw a woman last week. I walked down like our local high street, and there's a woman in a bar sat outside on the terrace on her own with a cold glass of rosé, and I was like, oh, I want to be you. Like, that looks amazing. I love, yeah, and I don't get a chance to do many things like that anymore because I've got a small child and a partner and a business, and I just thought I need to make time to just go and sit and have a glass of wine on my own, and just the joy of that would be, yeah, that's and just finding tiny little things to find joy in every day. Like, even if you just find something hilarious, a meeting at work and you're finding it hilarious, find time to go and like laugh. about whatever has happened that's made you laugh. It is, you could start this coaching journey, say, and be like, oh, I want to achieve this by the end of it. But you'll actually find as you go along that journey, things have taken you off in a slightly different direction. And I do genuinely think that the universe has got a plan for us. And if that plan isn't going the way the universe wants it to go for you, or the plan the universe has for you, your life is going to explode in your face and it's going to send you off on the right trajectory, which is, I think, what happened to me. I think my wedding got cancelled, my life exploded in my face, and everything went terribly wrong for me, because this is kind of what my purpose is. This is what I'm meant to do. And genuinely, it's not the easiest thing to do. Start your own business, start working with women and trying to work out how you can help them and do a qualification. But it's been so much fun, and I have learnt so much and met so many people along the way. And it changes every day almost. Like it's like, oh, there's something new. This is fun. Let's try this. So yeah.
That's incredible. And a lot of us want to be you, right? You're admiring someone and we're admiring, and others are admiring you. But it's being open to that inspiration,
Yeah, it is like being
right?
able to see people and go, oh, because again, when I started this coaching, and still now sometimes, and this is a good thing though, people triggered me like, oh, they're better than me. And people still do trigger me. I see coaches that are doing fantastic and their businesses are flying, and it's really triggering. But I've actually learned to overcome the triggers by reaching out to the people that are triggering me and saying, hey, it's great to see what you're doing. Like, I have a podcast, or maybe we could collaborate on something, or because I think those people who are triggering me, they're doing something that I want, and that's why they're triggering me. So how about I just make friends with them and be inspired by them personally and say, hey, actually, I think what you're doing is great. How about we do something together? Let's, get on a call, say hi, do a podcast interview. It's great to just then create a connection with somebody who's triggering you, because you can get to know why it is that they're triggering you, what they're doing, and how they've got there. And I found that really useful. Like, every time I've seen somebody recently that's triggered me, I've been like, oh, would you like to come on my podcast? Let's have a
I
chat.
love
Tell me
that.
what you're doing. Yeah.
I
So
love that
it's
idea.
it's great just to connect with people. I think that's why having a podcast is great, because you can literally say, okay, I've got this platform, come chat to me,
Yeah.
and let's put something out there. Who knows if anyone will listen to us, but at least we've had a chat and we think it's great. So
Exactly, exactly. And it's about connecting. For me, it's about connecting with people
yeah,
and connecting with people I want to learn from,
yeah, exactly.
right?
It is, yeah, and that's why when people have triggered me, I just think, wow, they're doing something that I want. They're doing something right, and I clearly want that. So let's be inspired by them. Let's chat to them.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Well, tell everybody, thank you so much for coming on, and tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, take your course.
Oh, so I am at Rachel Teeling Coaching on Instagram. I am at Rachel Teeling Coaching on Facebook. It's great having an unusual name, because that's my name. So you spell Teeling, Teeling, and I share all of my stuff mostly on Instagram and Facebook, and I am www.rachelteelingcoaching online, and that's where you'll find about my course, the BU Blueprint, which is all about you learning to thrive and rediscover your strength and independence after a relationship breakdown. Because we all do have that kind of thing, don't we, where we think our life is over, but actually you discovering your own identity and like embracing your own worth and rebuilding your life is where it's at. It's where you're going to get the best results. It's where you're going to live with joy. It's going to be you'll end up being the hero in your own story, and whether that leads to new love or whatever, it's the thing that you being you is the thing that's going to make you live your life.
Absolutely. And talk about your perfect name, but your podcast is called Healing with Teeling.
Healing
Like
with
making all
Teeling. Oh, I love my Healing with Teeling podcast.
Right? So they can find
No,
that on Apple, right? Apple,
Apple, yeah,
Spotify.
anywhere where you get your podcast, it's Healing with Teeling, or you can head over to my website and it's hosted on there as well, which is www.rachelteeling.com. I have to credit my partner Ed with the name Healing with Teeling because he was like, "That's a great name." I was like, "That is a really good name."
See? See, your soulmate gave you inspiration,
Honestly, he was like that. I want
right?
credits for this.
Love that.
Yeah,
I
so
love that.
it is the best name ever. Yeah, I really should just like change my entire coaching business to Healing with Teeling, shouldn't I?
You should. I love that.
I love that too. It'd take an awful lot of rebranding though. Maybe one day.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and helping us all find what lights us up.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful to be here.